Hello and welcome to another episode of Motors for the Masses, and today we are back on the NTV, and today is a brake kind of day. And I don't mean smashing things up. We'll come on to that later. So let's roll the intro and get cracking.
Crack!
So Jamie has kindly volunteered to help out today, and we've got rear discs and pads and pistons, and we've got front discs, pads and pistons as well, the correct pistons this time. So we're going to start today on the rear. Ow. So first things first, caliper off, and hopefully we won't have the same problem we did last time where the pads are stuck on this lip, because there is quite a bit of lip on this disc. It's definitely worn. And the verdict is?
Proper stuck.
Oh, worse than the front. Huh?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I've got to take the wheel off anyway to get the disc. I've got the disc to change as well today, haven't we?
Yes.
So I'll take the wheel off and that'll give us easier access and that, so anyway.
Do we need a hammer? Most probably.
What you're saying is you want to take a hammer to it?
No. Now, shaft drive bikes are not the same as a normal swing arm. You've got, obviously mounted on one side, you've got a split pin in there, and then you just take the nut off and wheel comes off. It's very simple.
Back axle.
Was it a 33 on?
Don't know. I didn't look at the shaft on.
27.
Thank you.
So if you remember from before, these are the locating studs for the wheel, and then these are what keeps the disc onto the shaft. So that's why it looks very cluttered around here. Quite cool though, I like that. Make a good photograph, that would. So again, applying pressure to the brake just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Crack off the nuts that hold the disc to the shaft. Nuts, not nuts, bolts, I know what I meant. Hey, that came off a lot easier than I thought. Do the pistons move?
Not back in, they don't. Not with paint all over them. Would you like to have a look? Nice
Lovely.
painted piston.
Very nice.
Spray that caliper, literally.
Yeah, literally just run a can over the whole thing, yeah. Including the pads, love that. So now it's come off, just need to put it back on quickly, so there's some leverage to be able to undo that, which you've now done in a undoing kind of way. So once the arm is off and the pads are out, you can then try and pump the piston out. So what we're going to do now is just pump the back brake and try and push the piston out and see if it comes out without being forced out. Is it?
Yeah, it's moving cool.
I can't see from here, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's moving slowly. Yeah, keep pumping until it comes right out, mate.
This could be a very boring section. Let's speed this up. I hear a V8. That's
It's a shame it's not yours.
It's a Chrysler V8. Look, I'll be disappointed if mine sounds like that.
Okay.
Hey! That was a lot easier than the front. Right, before we go any further, no, Jamie's not having a shave. The ultrasonic cleaner has been turned on, and I just want to double check if this is the correct piston, because remember the issue we had last time. It seems the right height, and it seems the right diameter. That's a good start. Okay, so yes, we're going to put the caliper through the ultrasonic cleaner and clean all that gunk out and make it nice and clean inside. So this disc has to come off, and this is the replacement. Look at the size of that, that's lovely. It's all discified and everything. So that will go on there in place of that one, obviously. So I'll have to say this bit quickly because obviously the ultrasonic cleaner is buzzing in the background. I do apologise, but we have to warm it up in some way. So now that's undone and off, on the back of here is attached that. Now that is the cover for the shaft. Now it's difficult to tell if that shaft is leaking. We can't see any fluid coming out, so it seems to be okay. So hopefully that doesn't need replacing. Like I say, it's not leaking, so that looks good enough to me. And then we'll have to push that out. That's pressed in, so we've got to punch that out with a hammer and punch, and then put it in to the new disc before it can go back on here, and that dust cover will cover over that shaft seal there. Right, hammer time!
Leave it for nothing, mate. I think they should run out.
So we're trying to drill these out because obviously hammering them isn't going to work. The problem is getting the drill in there. So we're trying to use the bench drill just to drill through these and get these out. We don't need these because we've obviously got new ones with the new disc, but we do need this plate. So it's proving to be a bit of a bugger.
Looks like just need a little bit more.
So now the old ones are out, the new ones don't fit in the hole of the shaft cover, no?
No.
Okay, so do they fit through that hole?
Make it through that hole,
yeah. Okay, the confusion is, now this is the disc that came off. This was sitting on there, and the slight recess was on this side. So,
but these were in that way.
Yeah, so these were in that way, like so. However, on this new disc, it seems to go the opposite way. This goes on this side, and then they go from that side because that's where the recess is. And then they get pressed into that. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, but we're going to have to drill these holes a little bit bigger
than that one,
because these studs are a little bit wider.
Yeah, so these holes have got to be drilled slightly bigger
to allow. Let me get my glove out of the way.
They do need pressing in.
I mean, swaging over afterwards, don't they, is what they need.
Yeah. For those of you wondering about the buzzing, that's what this is. Those calipers are fizzing away inside that ultrasonic cleaner. We've got a mini one here for little small things and a massive one over the other side for bigger things. Right, so using the vernier gauge, this old pin is 4.17. You see that there? 4.3. It's changed now. Make your mind up. What are you? 4.16, 4.14. Right, okay. 4.18 now. Okay, well basically it's smaller than this one, which is 4.54. So we're going to have to make sure we drill very, very slightly. Oh, it's tapered. Is that tapered? 4.5. I think 4.5 will be enough. So make sure these holes in here are 4.5 mil to be able to just squeeze that through and then knock over the end to make sure they're locked in place. Right, Right, I've moved the ultrasonic cleaner next door because that buzzing was one, doing my head in, and two, probably annoying you on the camera, and I do apologise for that. However, back to this. What we're doing now is trying to press these into here. Now, obviously we've drilled these holes out here, as you can see. So these will now fit inside, 4.5 mil. And now we're trying to push it in, and we're going to try and use a, we haven't got a press unfortunately small enough to be able to do this. The press I've got is too big. So we are trying to use a chain link pusher to try and swage that edge over so it doesn't come out again. That's the plan anyway. Okay, looks like some sort of modification is going to have to happen here. Now if you look here, look, that seems way too big. Bearing in mind it's the other way round now as to what it was on the previous disc. That is too high, and that will rub against the seal inside the shaft there. So we're going to cut these in half. We've made a red mark on there, look, can you see? I'm going to cut that in half, and then when we knock it down to make it fatter, so this is on there, that should be enough left. If you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? I hope you do. So basically going to cut that in half and then hammer it down and make it fatter so it doesn't come back out of this hole again. That's the plan. Watch this space. Could either go very well or very not so well. So these things are actually very soft. They're made of aluminium, so they're very soft. So the issue is making that too hot and melting it. So you'll be very careful how this is done. Like Jamie was suggesting, maybe just smack it down enough to just flatten it right out. Trial and error, I guess. Okay, this one needs two of us, so social distancing, masks on. We're going to have to improvise on this one. So, are you ready? You hold, I hit. Yeah, looks good.
So before, after.
Okay, that worked. Is it solid?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right.
Next one.
There you go. I've been to the Clarkson School of Engineering.
There you go. All done. Rivets all flattened off. On there nice and strong. No, it's not going nowhere.
Right, let's get it on the bike. Right, so whilst Jamie cleans up all these bolts and then we can get them Loctited back in place, let's check this out. Well, it fits and it doesn't scrape. Happy days. That is a success. In the meantime, Nick is 3 meters away working on his own bike. He's come down to use the facilities, and he's currently rebuilding a 1994 YZF 750. He wants to make his original. Boring, hey? Okay, Nick has set me straight. It's not completely original. Please tell us, Nick, what's not original on your bike?
Brake lines.
Amazing.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's enough. Anyway.
3 indicators for the...
Shush. Move on. By the way, we'd like to point out that he's not working. He lives literally about 100 metres away, so he's literally on his own doorstep. And he's using my facilities free. And there it is, mounted back on with Loctite on these bolts, so they won't come out in a hurry. And there you go. Rear disc done. Now all we have to do is the piston in the rear caliper. Right, so the ultrasonic cleaner has done its job. It's finished ultrasonic cleaning. Inside here, it's cleaned it all out, and we've scraped around inside to get rid of all the gunky residue. It's black in there, so it's difficult to see, but it's clean, trust me. Can you see? Yeah? Anyway, So what we're going to do now is put the seals in and the piston and get all that back in place, and then we can put it back on. So let's do that now. So Jamie, just explain what you're doing there, please.
So all I did is just put a bit of grease on the seals just to help them slip in a bit easier. Now they're in place. I was just wiping off the excess grease, but they're in place now. So now what we're going to do is just coat that in a bit of brake fluid and pop it in there. Hopefully that slips in nice and easy, hopefully. Just trying to get it started off straight. Seems to feel right.
There you go, piston pushed back in. Lovely jubbly, good job Jamie. Very nice. Right, so now it's time to get that mounted back on and get the pads in place. To rebuild these, I bought a set of sintered pads. Now these are FA140 double H's. Double H refers to the fact that it's a sintered pad. Now the advantage of these is that they've got more bite, so they grip a lot better on the disc. However, the disadvantage of that is that it wears the disc down quicker. But I would much rather have better performing brakes and change the disc more often. So you'll notice here Jamie is not painting the back of the pads. It's basically aluminium paste. Horrible stuff, gets everywhere, disgusting, can't get it off. But it stops the pads slipping around. Now you can use copper slip as well. Only goes on the back of the pad. Do not stick it on the front of the pad, otherwise your brakes will not work.
That's great, that's great.
So to get technical, it's friction stopping material. Yes? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Stop the pad seizing onto the piston, basically. So
if you don't use that, you can get squeals and squeaks and horrible old noises.
So the pad floats rather than being stuck against the caliper and sending all the vibrations through the caliper on that, I suppose.
So now, obviously, because this is aluminium, it's good to use aluminium paste rather than copper slip.
I don't think it really matters. I mean, originally it was always copper slip, but then aluminium paste come along at a later date. I don't know the reason why, but they're both obviously don't oxidise, and that's the whole point of it, yeah?
Okay, that's enough. Move on. God's sake.
I think.
Thanks, James. Now, the important thing to remember when you're putting the pads in is to make sure you put the right pad in the right side. This should only go one way because it will sit on the hooks. Having said that, these actually look identical but opposite. Okay, so a point to note, which Jamie just pointed out, which I actually forgot to mention. This little tab here, make sure that's in place, otherwise these pads can slip out and that's the last thing you want to happen. So this little tab goes in place in here to keep that, it's like a little spring clip to keep them pushed against this spline down here, and they should not fall out at all now. So, Jamie, please tell the ladies and gentlemen, what are the torque settings for these nuts and bolts here?
FT.
Right, okay, brilliant. If
Really
you know
tight.
what FT means, please leave it in the comment section below. If you don't, think about it.
Putting on.
However, Nick
Caliper bar.
is the king of, don't come too close, 2 meters. Step back, step back,
Yeah, tight.
step back. Danger! Step back further. That's not 2 meters, that's 1.5.
That's 2 metres.
You crack on your own bike. You bring your disease over here. How's your exhaust going?
Alright, and hold on, I'll put on a minute.
It all looks the same as it was 2 hours ago.
I'll fix the exit valve and
Brilliant. What does that do?
fix one of the bits.
What does that exit valve do?
Keep it mid-range.
Ah. So do carbs. They're also missing.
They'll do all.
They've been missing for quite some time.
Do you want to see them?
Several months.
Do you want to see them?
Oh yes, please do.
Okay.
Let's indulge the monkey. Wow! Don't come too close. Stay away. I'll zoom in. The magic of cameras. Okay. And what have you got? What have you done to make them so shiny?
I polished the float bowls. The rest has just been ultrasonically cleaned, but they've been cleaned and polished.
Right. How long's this bike been off the road now?
Ah.
Years.
Years, yeah. 2015, I think, was the last MOT.
Mind you, you've only owned it for how long?
It's August last year.
Yeah, and you've done almost nothing! I'll tell you what he has done. Used a lot of my ultrasonic cleaning fluid. So, back to the NTV. Jamie, what are you doing right now? Bleeding the brakes?
Yeah, so this is a hydraulic brake bleeder. Basically, obviously you've got the span on there to open and close the valve. Put this on top there. So you fill up your reservoir, open the valve while holding it down and giving it a vacuum. And that basically sucks the fluid through the system.
So that means you don't have to pump the brakes like you do in the olden times?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I do this to bleed the system through any old fluid, put the new in, bleed it through with this, and then I hand bleed it at the end. Is what I do.
So now the back's back on, we're now going to take the front wheel off. I'm going to stick the disc on whilst Jamie puts the new pistons in the caliper. If you remember from the last video, we were halfway through doing that when we had the wrong pistons. So I'm just going to stick the disc on, going to get the pistons in, and then bleed the front brakes. So now I've just given those a bit of a clean, get rid of the old thread lock in there, and nice and shiny. Haven't bothered to do the ends because shiny bolts would not look good on this style of bike, and that will become clear later on. So all I need to do now is put a bit of thread lock on each one to stop it coming out very easily in the future. And then mount this lovely new disc. Look at that, isn't that awesome? Look at that. Lovely. Ooh. Well, it comes out of where you're not expecting it to come out of. Now you'll find on the inside of here there's little locating pins for the disc to sit in. 1, 2, 3 there. So it sits nicely in place before you put these on. Also remember to get them the right way around, because there's a little recess on here which that will sit in. You don't want to do it the other way around, because otherwise it will protrude and not line up with the pads. Okay, so ideally these need torquing up to the correct setting, so I shall look that up in a second and make sure I torque them to the correct setting. Jamie says that is FT. Nick says no, it's not. It's whatever it says on the internet, so I'll do that now. So, having been thoroughly professional, I can see that it's 29 pounds-foot or 40 Newton meters of torque. So that's what I'll do. So we'll just give that a turn. There we go. Now remember, whenever you're torquing something, go round and torque, and then go round again and check the torque setting, just to make sure. Wheel on, then caliper on, yes? So we're just going to give this a spin just to make sure it's not catching, which it's not. Fantastic. So what we need to do now is bleed the brakes and we're done. So we're getting a tiny bit of pressure in the front as we're pumping it. There's a lot of air in there by the looks of it. So we've just tied the brake lever to the handlebars for about 10-15 minutes, see if it builds up some pressure and pushes some air back up the system. Other than that, what's the next plan of action?
I'm doing the caliper bolt and try bleeding it upside down or something like that.
Right, okay, fair enough. So we will let you know in the next video how we got on with this technique and what we had to do next. We're going to leave it there for now. In the next video we shall be doing, or the next video on the NTV, we shall be doing the trellis frame. So I'll be getting out my welding skills and welding in a trellis frame about so high to raise the seat. We had a suggestion for that, so thank you very much for that. I forget unfortunately who made that suggestion, but thank you very much for that suggestion. It's brilliant, and that's what we're going to do. So that will then raise the seat about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, which will line up nicely with here on the tank, and it will sort out my knee positions, which are slightly too high at the moment, so that should raise me up a little bit more, just enough. So yes, we're going to have a trellis frame in there. We're going to sort out this end piece of where it needs to be cut, and put a rear hoop in, or a rear blanking plate in for the light, and as I say, make up the piece for the seat. After that, we're going to be looking at the exhaust system. I've got a 2-into-1 pipe that we're making, and a nice end can that's on its way, so we'll be looking at that as well. May not be doing that in the next video, but that is the future plan. We've got lots more coming as well. Unfortunately, as you know, because of what's going on with the coronavirus, lockdown, etc., we can't do any on the road reviews, and there's nothing coming through bike wise at the moment. But we've got more coming on the Escort, we've got more coming on the Mach 1, and I'm sure we'll find some other stupid stuff to do along the way. So thank you very much for joining us. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. Coming up soon, there'll be our video on the giveaway that we're doing, and we're going to be putting in a link video for you to put questions for the Q&A that we're trying to set up. So please stay tuned for those as well. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay safe in this current situation, and until next time, please ride and drive, or walk and wipe carefully, but have fun. Bye bye.